Well, your attitudes, Mr. Endicott, your points of view are a matter of record. Some people, well, let us say the people who work for Mr. Colbert might reasonably regard you as the person least likely to mourn his passing. We were just trying to clarify some of the evidence. Was Mr. Colbert ever in this greenhouse, say last night about midnight?
Hey folks, it's the Blind Guy here, coming back at you with another good old movie recommendation. And on this episode, we are going to dedicate this one to Paul and Lori, who requested this movie because they just watched it and they wanted me to review it while they still remember it. So how about that? This is 1967's In the Heat of the Night, directed by Norman Jewison and starring Sidney Poitier and Rod Steiger. The movie, essentially, the plot of the movie is that Detective Tibbs, played by Poitier, has visited Mississippi, and he gets implicated in a murder where they think he is the suspect, and he's actually a detective. And when they find out that he's not actually the perpetrator, he and Rod Steiger's character, who is a bigoted racist in the movie, has to work with Poitier to catch the real killer. The movie is famous for several scenes. The first one we started with there is my mom's favorite scene where Sidney Poitier slaps the racist man back. And then the famous scene, which is this one right here.
Well, you're pretty sure of yourself, ain't you, Virgil? Virgil, that's a funny name for a nigger boy that comes from Philadelphia. What do they call you up there?
They call me Mr. Tibbs.
Which is often actually made the American Film Institute's 100 Greatest Quotes of All Time. They call me Mr. Tibbs. This one's a little unique stylistically, not by today's standards, but I think it influenced a lot of the quirkier movies today that we see by Martin Scorsese, Quentin Tarantino, and things like that. There's scenes where the camera will zoom in and focus on like the tail light of a car and things like that, which I haven't seen in a lot of movies prior to this one. So I think it had a lot to do with influencing that little bit quirkier style of making movies. It takes place in Mississippi, and so it's got this very, like the name suggests, in the heat of the night. It's very muggy, hot, southern kind of feel to it, a lot of cultural things going. Unfortunately, the movie was not able to be made in Mississippi because of the safety of the crew and Sidney Poitier, that the time was very tense because of the civil rights movement. So the movie was actually shot in mostly in Illinois, then a little bit in Tennessee. And I just think the movie's driven mainly by the performances by Sidney and Steiger because the dialogue's strong, the story's fairly strong. It's a little convoluted at times, but their two performances as they grow together as friends and learn to put their differences aside is really what makes this movie. This movie's important because I think everybody needs to see it because it shows what actual racism looks like, not the fake stuff that everybody points at today and calls everybody racist today. This is like actual full-blown racism in Mississippi in 1965. And so I think it's important for that. And it's just important to show, and this wouldn't actually be shown in a movie today, but having two people from different backgrounds, different races, working together for common good really isn't allowed to be shown today, interestingly enough. And that was actually Jewison's whole point of the movie when he directed it, was he wanted to show that these two men that have actually a lot in common work together and overcome. One of them has to overcome his prejudices and bigotry to work with the other to solve a murder. So it's a really great movie in that sense. It's in color, and I think that, noir, it's considered a neo-noir movie, and making those in color somewhat detracts from it, because in noir, one of the things with film noir is the use of black and white and the use of lighting in a black and white setting. And so I would have been interested to see this movie in black and white. I think it would have actually probably helped it out a little bit because it would have given it more of a film noir atmosphere to it. But that's such a minor little nitpicky thing on my half. I've just never seen a neo-noir type movie that had the same feeling because they are all shot in color. I'd be interested to see one made today that is shot in black and white. But the movie is definitely worth watching. It scores a 7.9 on IMDb. I think it deserves better than that. I think it should be 8.1, 8.2. Definitely worth watching, worth owning if you like these classic movies. It won Best Picture, and Steiger won Best Supporting Actor for this movie. Poitier did not win for this one, but then later on won Best Actor. And so I just think it's been preserved by the Library of Congress. It's one of the most 25 important films ever made. That's a big deal. I think the only one that I've reviewed that was also on that list so far was The Apartment from 1960. You guys know that I love throwing my mom's views into these videos, and I think that she's got a calling as a movie critic, because her critical review of this movie was, gee, I hope that Gillespie, who is played by Rod Steiger, I hope that he stops chewing his gum that way, because that's really annoying. So well put, Mom. Let me know if you guys agree in the comments below. Gillespie needed to stop chewing his gum. And so those are my mom's thoughts on this movie. And so I just say, if you're a fan of classic movies and movies that are historically significant, this has to be on the list, In the Heat of the Night. And so let me know what you guys think in the comments. You can send me an email if you want to suggest other movies. If you want to support the channel, our Venmo is in the description as well. And we will do any kind of review that you guys want. Our channel is growing. I appreciate that. It's done for fun. But like I've always said, it's more fun when people are actually watching your videos. If you have any other suggestions, just let me know. I'm willing to review whatever you guys want. But those are my thoughts on 1967's In the Heat of the Night. Check it out. I'll put the link to be able to watch it in the description as well. And I'll see you on the next episode of A Blind Guy's View. Laters on the Menjay.
Laters on the Menjay.
Ships on bigger of the waves are skimming by, and summits to the verge.